Um, so, how do I know you?
Oliver Perry is in a group called Go Abundance Emerge, posted and shared about you talking to strangers, and I am a stranger to you, but soon to be friends.
Perfect answer.
Yeah,
Perry. Dude, I love that guy.
yeah, he's good. And then I mean, also with kind of your military background, if you know Phil, I'd have to look up his last name, but he's a Go Abundance guy, apartment syndicator as well. So.
Um, I'm very popular, so it's hard to know. Let's see. I think I know who you're talking about, though. You're talking about Dole? Phil Dolezal, or whatever his name is? Phil
Yeah, I'm
Dodd?
looking up. Um,
I know a lot of Phils. Um,
yeah, he's in a GoPod with Jamie Gruber. So
Caprone?
maybe let me look.
Is that Phil Caprone? Anyway,
Yes, yes, Phil Caprone. Bingo, we got him.
yeah. Yeah, him and I are buddies.
Cool.
All right, well, good to meet you. How can I be useful to you?
Yeah, so wanted to just kind of reach out and chat. Seems like your story's fascinating for how you started with negative net worth, right? Which is always probably eye opening to calculate, right? And experience, and then feel those emotions, and then you've gone through a journey of recognizing real estate is sort of your answer, and then going through multifamily, and you mentioned photography and things like that. So was just curious for how throughout this process, and for the number of people that you've met and what have you, like what are kind of your big takeaways from this entire process. Oftentimes, like the low, helps us, appreciate and recognize the highs. But do you even feel like you had to have the lows to get to, where you're at now with the number of things you're, or I guess really have accomplished and done?
Yeah. I love you asked this question. Um, Hang on, I'm thinking out. I'm thinking, and I have to write to think, so I apologize.
Cool.
I'm going to give you three things, three big things. And generally, these questions are hard because when you're like, "What's the number one thing you learned?" I'm like, "Well, it's been 15 years or 10 years.
Sure.
It's been 8 years." So, it's hard to like summarize things that are not like they don't turn into platitudes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, so, hang on, I got a visitor here. Um, So you asked me like, do you have to go through the lows? I think so. Yeah, I have a bit of a philosophy that the only way that human beings learn is through pain.
Hmm.
Now,
Talk to me more about that.
yeah, I mean, if you tell your kid not to touch the fire, it's not going to listen. The child is not going to listen. If you
Mm-hmm.
tell the child, if you tell a person like, hey, you shouldn't, get credit cards and you shouldn't buy that car and you shouldn't spend frivolously, like they're not going to listen. Right? They're not going to listen to wisdom. People make bad decisions in the face of good advice every day. There's lots of investors out there that like don't read Warren Buffett, and yet
Mm-hmm.
he's the wisest investor, and he'll teach you a lot of the things that you need to know. Same thing with philosophy. Like all the advice that you need for life exists, but people are always constantly figuring out because people have to figure it out for themselves. And the way they
Mm-hmm.
figure out for themselves is by making mistakes and getting the pain of those repercussions. So
Sure.
I'm of the opinion that people only learn through pain. And
Okay.
this is why I sort of actively seek out pain because I want to learn.
What does that look like? I guess is the first question.
Do hard, scary things. Do risky things. Take risks. You know? I mean, finding
Do you
pain is pretty
have?
easy, actually.
Yeah, sure. How do you maybe how do you there's a lot of things that can cause pain, right? Emotional, physical, financial, type things, right? But how do you maybe, I mean, balance is the word that's coming to mind, and I just don't think it's appropriate. But what I'll say is, how do you balance like going after pain and like experiencing pain, right? To change your, just psychiatric nature to then have things be easier without doing things that are, not beneficial for you, right? So like, example, cold plunge, if you will, is a physical kind of quote unquote painful thing to experience that's uncomfortable. But something like, going and buying a Ferrari is a financial pain that, would be overreaching, and it would be like inappropriate for you to like experience, right? Very drastic. And those are two very like different examples. But how do you pick like the right type of pain is really what my question would be.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. If you go to a cold plunge, there's no risk.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Stakes, bro. Stakes. Stakes. So if you go buy a Ferrari, you say the financial pain, yeah, it'll bankrupt you. And then you'll learn the lesson. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
go buy a Ferrari, right? Then you'll learn something. If you do a cold plunge,
Sure.
you're not going to learn anything. Not really, because there's no stakes. So
Okay.
I try
Yeah.
to do things higher the stakes, and you can do it like it's not like a hard and fast rule. Like you do things that are low stakes every day, um, but are painful. Like go to the gym, lift heavy weights. I do that every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's painful,
Okay.
but it's also fairly low stakes. So like there's asymmetries in life. What if you took the pain, the fear, the risk of buying real estate in a market where everything was depressed? You're like, it's still scary, it's still painful, it's still you can still make some mistakes, but you're gonna do really well. So
Mm-hmm.
there's asymmetric pain. So again, like it's not a hard and fast rule about how much. The goal is to like life is long. You got to play it. You play the game as a whole. It's not a closed system. It's I kind of
Mm-hmm.
think about it like gambling. You know the old saying, like even if you go to the casino and you play blackjack and you come home with $2,000, it's like you're only up if you never play again. The
Sure.
more you play, the more you are set to lose. And so life is kind of that way. You're the score is forever. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you don't know what your score is until your last day. So you have to take
Mm-hmm.
a lot of bets, and you have to vary the risk and like how big of a bet you make. And the bet, and that's why you have to learn from pain, because it's like again, it's like if I buy real estate. So think about real estate.
Sure.
I buy a bunch of deals. It's a bunch of um, it's a bunch of varying stakes because some deals are bigger than others.
Mm-hmm.
I have more resources than some, and I get a lot of reps. And then I make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes are really painful, and sometimes those mistakes aren't so bad. And actually, what's interesting is the bigger I get, the smaller, $100,000 house, the stakes on it are. And
Mm-hmm.
so, in some ways, you always have to be upping. If you want to get better at business, you always have to be upping the stakes.
So then, in that example, would you constantly be playing the hand at blackjack?
Well in life. You're always playing the hand. Every day you wake
Sure.
up, you play the hand.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
Yeah,
you're
and
always playing.
I
So I
think
don't
it's
know.
a
It's not a well thought out metaphor. I'm riffing, but
sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's a fascinating point to differentiate. I think doing the hard things and doing risky things. I've had the I'll say like pleasure, but really just the experience of like doing 75 hard as well as the live hard program. Right. Those are seemingly like hard things, but it's not risky to go to the gym. Twice a day and drink a gallon of water and do all these things. Right. Like a risky thing is like I left a corporate job about a month ago to essentially go all in on writing a book and building a software that I feel passionate about, aggregating news for niched industries, right? So multifamily, self storage, things like that. I just have not found something out there, and it absolutely bothers me because I want to see like just the news and data for what I'm investing in as an accredited investor, not just these random real estate things that have nothing to do with the niched investment that I'm in. And so that to me has been seemingly risky, while to your point kind of hedging and having that experience as well, to become that better human, or really just being that type of individual who can take on that type of risk and really like change your threshold type thing.
dude, quitting your job is risky. and scary,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And the stakes vary person to person, but oh, did I lose you?
No, you're still here. Yeah, yeah. I was waiting for
Okay.
if
Sorry,
you
the
had
internet here is.
another point.
I'm on an
Yeah.
island, so the internet here is terrible. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, anyways, back to the original point. Like pain. Pain's the only teacher. So sometimes you, depending on like what risk you take and how much. I'm not saying it all has to be like all big scary pain all the time. And the goal, in a weird way,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you don't go. In a weird way, most people don't go looking for pain. In fact, this is why we're having a lot of problems in the real estate industry right now. Is that for 15 years the market's been nothing but up, and so nobody's really
Mm-hmm.
felt any pain. And now they're feeling the pain and they don't know how to deal with it because they don't have the experience. So now they're learning lessons that they're like, oh, I should have. I wish I would have done this differently. I wish we had done this. I didn't know this was going to happen. And so now they're learning. We all are.
Sure.
Now everybody's learning, how to do real estate in a different market. So again, pain. Um, the other things you asked, the other two big things you said, like, what are the key lessons? Um, I learned that you brainwash yourself with normal, and by that I mean if you scroll TikTok and you hang out with alcoholics, you're not going to get much done in life, and you're going to feel like that's a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
Your coworker got a BMW, so you bought a BMW. They're living paycheck to paycheck, so you're living paycheck to paycheck, and you think that that's normal. And then you go on the internet and you say like, "Oh, the economy's rigged. The economy's not working. It's the wealth. It's the inequality problem." And
Yeah.
okay, like it's also you brainwash yourself with normal. So if you spend your days with people that are quitting their job to go write a book and do a software company, I'm like, dude, you're just the likelihood that you're going somewhere is better. And so in a weird way, I just think about it. The internet wants us to all to be leaders, and many people are leaders, but most people are not leaders. And so for
Yeah.
most people, I'm like, man, if you just ride coattails with wildly successful people, you'll get a big chunk of it just by being around and being sort of good enough. So the content that I consume and the people that I surround myself with are of the utmost importance because what they do is my normal, and I want to choose what I think of as normal.
Yeah. That brings
Um,
a
yeah,
interesting thought. That kind of an age old quote, right? Of like you're the average of the five people you surround yourself the most with, right? Probably heard of that. A different
Jim Rohn.
perspective on that is that you will only be as best as the worst person within those like five people, because essentially they're dragging you and or just only going to that level, right? And it's like if that person that quote unquote last person were to like lead that group, you're only going to go as fast, as quick, as far as that person leading. And so to your point, it's a fascinating thought of being vigilant of like what you're consuming and who is around you, and at kind of the pace, the tempo, and the mindset that they have ongoing, not just what they did one time type thing. To really ride like a wave as opposed to kind of like a one time sort of thing.
Yeah, life is an interesting. I got a couple of years in me now, and life is gives provides an interesting perspective about people and their their ability to tackle problems over a larger time scale. Um,
Mm-hmm.
separates people in interesting ways. So you can find somebody that's like an up and comer. They're rising. They're doing really well. But when people get enough success, when they have enough money, like if you have enough money to quit your job and sort of enjoy your family and you know tinker with like I'm a photographer. If I was like I just
Mm-hmm.
want to tinker with my camera, it's like a lot of people don't spend their life with entrepreneurship. They just want enough money to live some other purpose that they haven't been able to find out yet because they're so stressed about money. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so finding the right people to do what you want to do, and that's fine. I'm not knocking that. In fact, in fact, like if you want to travel the world, there's a lot of those groups. I know a lot of those groups. Like they don't really want to be
Sure.
super entrepreneurs. They want to buy maybe one deal a year, one big deal a year, and
Yeah.
increase their passive cash flow just enough so they're like, I can go out of country 5 or 6 times this year, go to a
Mm-hmm.
couple of conferences, and that's my life, and that's incredibly fulfilling for them. And there's a lot of people that do that. These wander, adventure, entrepreneur travel retreats and companies. So, but if you're hanging out with people that are like hustle culture, it's a mismatch. It's a mismatch. So you really have to
Mm-hmm.
choose what's normal. And part of life is part of growing up, which we do, which is life, right? Forever,
Yeah.
is like finding out and continuously changing what it is that you want, because most people, myself included, don't really know. I just turned 40 and I'm finally getting it to be like
Okay.
starting to get it narrower, you know? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so the more that I'm like, oh, okay, I know what I want, which means now I know, I look at the world and go, who's doing that? And and maybe more importantly, I think something I think a lot about is like, who's not doing that? So I can avoid them.
Mm.
We don't think about that. We don't think about who do we not want to be like? And those two things are very important because, you know, you have to say no way more than you have to say yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, just turned 40, which is, great. I and myself recently more or less turned 30, right? And so, as you look into this next decade, like,
Hang
what
on.
are you most excited about and focused on?
Say that again because I cut out a little bit.
Oh, sure. So you just, turned 40. I myself recently turned 30. And so I've been thinking about like, what I'm going to accomplish or do and go after, in this next decade. Curious about, for yourself, what exciting things do you have on the plate? What are you going after? What are you hoping to achieve or see?
Yeah, I got a lost decade in me because I served in the military and then I spent about 8 9 years drunk and on drugs. So
Okay.
I lost the vast majority of my 20s and maybe a little bit of my early 30s just mucking things up, and then I had to undo a lot of that, and then I spent my entire 30s sort of catching up.
Mm-hmm.
Not to use that as an excuse, but
Well,
it
it's just
really
your
puts a
story.
lot of it puts a lot of pressure on me for my 40s. So
Okay.
I'd like to accomplish a lot more in business, and we have some good pathways for that. I'm a bit of a natural community builder, and I want to lean into that in a way that I haven't before. So I've been part of communities and helping participate in communities for like 15 years online, whether
Mm-hmm.
that was old health and fitness forums from 15 years ago to Bigger Pockets, which I
Okay.
was a tremendous contributor to, something like
Yeah.
5,000 forum posts
Yeah.
to, now I'm out here with Brandon. We built Better Life last year. I'm part of
Sure.
this group that called Military to Millionaire. I think Oliver's also in that.
Yep.
Uh,
Cool. Yep.
the War Room. So I've helped. I love communities. I love people. I'm a hyper extrovert, and I'm a conference junkie, but I've never really built
Okay.
my own thing.
Okay.
I've never really had my own group, and so I'm now slowly starting my own group. It's a very segmented, very small thing of people that I've curated in a way that other groups haven't. So I don't know what that's going to become, but I think I have a
Cool.
knack for that. So people collecting. I just have a knack for pouring into people, and I want to do that. I mean, it's just like this, right? Meeting strangers. It's kind of this, but
Yeah.
maybe a little more intimate. It's just like, dude, I just want to help people. So, with whatever they need.
Mm-hmm.
So, people, real estate people, and yeah, I mean, I'm a photographer, you know, got all these fancy
Mm-hmm.
cameras laying around,
Sure.
and there is there's something about being able to tell stories about people and projects that I really enjoy. So finding ways to blend those three things, serve people, you know, make money. This decade, I definitely like to write my book. I got
Okay.
like 5 books that I'd like to write that
Cool.
I just haven't. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, I was
That
taking a
always
look at
happens.
some of your blog posts. So yeah, I could definitely see you writing as well, and that kind of creative process.
Yeah, I've been writing a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's it. People, real estate, cameras. Remember, that's what I said earlier. I
Awesome.
was like, I'm just now figuring out like what I'm about. It's those three things. Now,
Yeah.
it'll take me the next 10 years to find out exactly what those mean.
What do you mean by they mean? Like, what do you define as mean?
Or how do I do them? Okay, people. It's like okay, most people want to be of service to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are like, I want to make the world a better place. I want to be valuable. The question is how,
Mm-hmm.
specifically, and that takes
Sure.
time. So, I know I love people. I know that my future, my primary, my guiding light is I like being around people, talking to people. The question is exactly how do I do that fulfills my maximum ability to help.
Yeah.
Real estate, again, it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
and
real
it
estate,
makes
but
me think
like,
of like in what
what's
form,
your
right? Are you
actual
directly
goal?
helping people? Do you have just like an online webinar and people are kind of showing up? Like, as you try and have kind of those conversations or those things, see how it unfolds and how it feels for you and whatnot. But no, that's exciting. Um,
Yeah.
what it seems like in kind of like intertwining all of that as well. What is I guess what is the next like big step, or who I guess do you maybe need to meet to help you with that big step in whatever I guess, because you mentioned a lot of things, right, that you're kind of going after.
So I have a partner in Maryland who buys these luxury properties, and I'm going to work with him on storytelling, on some of his community building, on some of his capital raising. So I'm going to work with him
Okay.
a little bit. I have a partner in Des Moines, and we want to buy. Um, we're working on a multifamily right now, but um, we've got a couple projects in the works. And so my current, and some of that's multifamily, and some of that is like he's trying to buy food franchises, which I'm really excited about. So we have this plan.
Okay.
We'll buy like 100 food franchises. He already has five, right?
Cool.
And so we really like this model. Collect them, sell them off to private equity. So I'll work with that. I got a couple other friends, but the idea would be if I could find five people who I could. I need to bounce around. I have to bounce around. I like movement. I can't do the same thing every day. I'm a terrible employee. So so having 4 or 5 people that I can be like, hey, I'm going to work with you 20% of the year. I'll work with you 25% of the year. I'll work with you 25% of the year, and
Sure.
work on various projects that are it keeps the interest up. So that's sort of my current approach. Whether it'll work or not, I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, I've approached that of like kind of 90-day sprints or like timeline sprints of, hey, like the summer is the best time for this. Therefore, like, I'll focus on that. Because otherwise it's just like chasing a bunch of rabbits and trying to make, ends meet. And kind of that focused distraction, if that makes sense. Has been fruitful. As well as getting like an integrator or COO or like second in command essentially, to keep kind of the vision and things moving, and then you can kind of go play in the field essentially while they're helping really just create some of those visions and those behind the scene things, kind of come to life. So
Yeah, I'm working on some of that right now. Writing out vivid visions, you know, getting plans in motion, getting people to help, getting them bought on the goals, and then
mm-hmm.
people can work when you're not trying to do everything. And that's just been hard for me. But it is what it is. We'll get better. So
Sure.
yeah,
Day by day.
but you definitely need people to help.
Yeah, are you saying like people to help you, or what do you mean by people to help?
I mean, it's really hard to build something big alone.
Yeah,
You need
absolutely.
people to buy into an idea and
Mm-hmm.
then care about it when you're not around. And
Yeah.
that's not easy. I mean, you can pay them, but that's not buy-in. That's just I don't want to starve. So getting people to buy
Sure.
in is is much harder.
Yeah, kind of aligning with visions. I've been listening to several podcasts around like being second in command and things like that. So like Vivid Vision, Cameron Herold, like that sort of piece, right? And the concept of like people follow people, like and then their leadership, and then their ideas. Not just, oh, you have a great idea, like sure, let's go pack up and go for digging out gold, right? They'll only get someone so far essentially. So absolutely agree. So that's exciting. Well, no, Alex, it's been great chatting with you. It's almost like talking to myself in some aspects, a decade in the future. But appreciate what you shared. And yeah, I love connecting people. Right, that's one of my things. And so as you're going after some of these things, would love to keep you in mind, and connect with other people who can help make some of the dreams you mentioned sort of reality.
Sure. Where do you live?
Austin, Texas.
Shut up. I'm moving to Austin today.
Really? Is that
We're
the
going to
April
Virginia.
first joke or?
Nope. Nope. I currently live on island, and we're leaving the island today. We're gonna go to Virginia, North Carolina, pick up a bunch of stuff, but
Okay.
we'll be moved in. We have a move-in date on a lease on 11th and San Marcos Street, on
Okay.
May 1.
Okay. Well,
Dude, you just hyped me up.
how can I be of service when you come? You got 30 day. I got a 30 day window.
What do you got a 30 day? You moving?
No. I'm saying like you have. There's 30 days to like you move here, right? So like, how can I be of service to you like when you move here, right? Like, are you curious about the best pizza restaurants, or are you I don't know, just um, be great to
No,
meet you
actually,
and help support you. But yeah.
yeah. So here's what we're gonna do, dude. I mean, I told you I'm a natural people collector. I'm just good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're gonna do is I got a buddy of mine who's built an entire ops system for a back end system through with a CRM and a funnel for in-person meetups. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go to every single meetup 2, 3 times a week for probably 60 days, and then I'm either going to enact a coup and take one over, or
Okay.
start my own.
Okay.
So that's definitely a high priority. Um, and then my fiance wants to start a quilt store, so I'll be working on some of that. But once the once I get settled, I don't know what it's going to look like, but we got to get office space.
Okay.
We got to
Sure.
get office space because you can't. I'm very much a sort of a if you build it, they will come sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm good at going first. I'm good at showing up. I'm good at creating traditions and cultures and just like and
Yeah.
super 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 high level give a shit about people.
Yeah.
And it'll take some time, but as soon as we have a place, a physical location that is has a good culture, is fun to work at, is fun to go to, like a co-working
Mm-hmm.
space.
Sure.
But but I don't really have a company, so that's my plan, dude. That's my plan. I mean, you can participate in. You asked me like how do you want to help? I'm like I'm going to collect a ton of people. I'm going to give them um, a place to bond and grow together,
Sure.
and you know, and then I have my gifts of photography, and I'm a super connector as well. So, um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, dude, it's gonna be dope, dude. I'm so
Love it.
hyped right now.
How best can I stay? How best can I stay updated? With this and with you, is that on socials, through email?
So I collect your email address, so I'll be sending out some emails on updates,
Cool.
and Instagram, text, WhatsApp,
Okay. Cool. Sure.
whatever's easiest for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I can shoot you a text on so you have it. What's your phone number?
910
Okay.
850
Okay.
8127.
Okay. Cool. Sweet. Yeah, I'll do that, and then if I can help cure. It seems like you have all that list, right? Most events and such are good. There's a couple kind of hidden ones. Just depends like what you want to go to or where. There's some CPG stuff. There's some startup founder stuff. A number of things and some groups that I'm involved in because when I moved here 5 years ago, that's essentially what I did. Happy to help and support with that, or connect you with whomever that might be as you kind of learn and understand like what kind of curated individuals you want to have around yourself, right?
Yeah. Are you part of any communities?
Yes, is the short answer.
Which? Go
Do you want
Bunnies.
me to list them? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So GoBundance. There's also Jason Drees coaching.
I know Jason very well.
There's yeah. I figured as much. And then there's some software founder ones. New Canaan Society. So it's a faith-based men's group that meets twice a month from men from churches all around Austin. That's a really good one as well. And then I don't know if it's necessarily a community, but there's a bunch of like, hey, I have a nice car, like let's drive around Austin, or like coffee, cars and coffee type stuff. Probably others that I could look at my calendar and find, but those are kind of the meat and potatoes. Internet marketing party is a really good one. And then a lot of the other ones are like kind of private one-off sort of stuff, right? So like Nick Gray hosts some parties, Sam Parr, just some of these like Austin people, right, that are very well known, right, have a lot of events, part of full posh type stuff, that aren't necessarily on like the Eventbrites of the world and meetups of the world, and rightfully so. And so being in the right circles with the right people, certainly help. So.
Okay. Okay, cool. Dude, I'm coming in as strong as I can.
I'm sure I'll see the PR release.
It'll be a good time. I'm excited. And I'm really hyped that you said that, because now I'm trying to collect all the Austin people now.
Sure. Well, yeah, let me know. So my 3 unique abilities are creating communities, building software, and raising funds. And so if it's not one of those things, then I don't do it, right? So again, love connecting, love building. So as I can help and support, would absolutely love to. So safe travels,
Yeah. Well,
and
yeah.
we'll be in touch.
I also always need
Okay.
raising funds, so we can talk about that too.
Okay, sweet. Yeah.
All right, my dude.
Absolutely.
Hey, tremendous to meet you, dude.
Yeah, you as well, Alex. Enjoy the day, and we'll see you in a month or so.
See you in a month. All right, be well.
Cool, brother. Yeah, take care. Bye.